There's always a lot to celebrate on May 5th. Cinco de Mayo, my daughter's got a voice recital, and it's Cliff decision day for the basketball team.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I'll tell you about Monopoly Go here in just a bit. Jimmy, we got a lot to talk about in terms of dudes making decisions. Not usually our strong suit. Dudes just don't make decisions.
We've made terrible decisions.
Yeah. But we're hoping Cliff or me makes a good decision.
I think it's Omari. Like if you're in you're having a conversation with Maury Povich, and you say, Maury.
I'm with you, but I like the way I do it. So I should so he decides today, and look, I don't even know. I've been reading the tea leaves from Preston Murphy and from everybody else, and as somebody said on a text chain we're on with several Alabama fans, if Cliff Omari doesn't just choose Alabama today, Preston Murphy's going to have to walk back a lot of big red dog tweets.
Well, I mean, I don't think that Preston Murphy, by making those tweets, has let anyone know that Alabama is going to get Cliff. I think he's made it known how much Alabama wants Cliff, and that Cliff is such a high priority target. That Cliff is the highest priority. And I think, putting two and two together, there was a lot of talk. There's some crystal balls about the Kentucky Center, being crystal ball to Alabama. I think when that happens, you got to let, the target know, hey, we're recruiting you. Don't pay attention to that. You're the guy we want. And I think Preston Murphy has made no bones about it, pun intended, I guess, that Cliff is the top target. So now he hasn't promised delivery. He's just promised, hey, we are recruiting this guy hard, and we really want him as part of the program.
And I guess you could say, I just really like that cartoon, y'all. I was not
maybe he does
trying to intimate anything.
What do we think Roll Tide Willie watches all day anyway?
You bring up an interesting point, because what if, and this isn't crazy anymore in the world of recruiting, you got to do what you got to do, right? What if somebody else leaked to somebody who provides crystal balls on any of the websites that we all watch, and all it takes is one dude to crystal ball somebody to a particular school, and it'll cause an uproar, right? It doesn't matter how credible that person is. It'll just get a lot of clicks, right? So what if somebody leaked, another school leaked, hey, why don't you I feel like the Kentucky defense going to Bama.
Or that, we hear the Kentucky guys going to Alabama.
Yeah.
That's all we got to say. We hear the Kentucky guys going to Alabama.
And it's really not good info, but it's one of those things that, Cliff will see it because everybody sees everything. And he'll go, what the heck, y'all? And
all's fair in love and war and recruiting. All's fair in love, war, and recruiting. That sort of stuff happens. I don't know that it happened in this case, but it might have. I mean, it makes some sense because Alabama's been so overt. I mean, to me, that's one of the things that's been the interesting part of Cliff Omari's recruitment, which we've covered extremely well at BOL. I think everybody at BOL has been every step along the way in all of this. And I think it's the one thing, like, what's different about this? It's been the Preston Murphy tweets with Clifford the Red Dog stuff, because we haven't seen that. We didn't see that with Brandon Miller's recruitment a couple of years ago. We didn't see it with the Grant Nelson recruitment out of the portal last summer. That's been different, and there's got to be a reason, right? So then you're left to fill in the blanks and assume, what's the reason that Alabama's been so overt in their recruitment of Cliff Omari? Obviously, he's high need, and hey, today's the announcement. By the time people are listening to this, they'll probably already know because we're not sure what time the announcement is. We're trying to find out, but we don't know. We don't know.
It is funny.
He's not even saying that. When we're trying to get intel and you don't even know, when you're trying to get intel and you're not even finding out what time, that shows how hard it is to get info. But again, at BOL, we've got some pretty good, what we're telling people, I mean, is stay tuned. This could be Alabama. Alabama's recruited their butts off trying to get the guy. It's very, very well could be Alabama. No one seems to know. So it could very well be Alabama. Now, this is me talking, me personally, I'm not quite as optimistic, not quite. But when I say not quite as optimistic, I am in no way predicting him going somewhere else. I'm just saying I felt better about it the day before, or 2 days ago. And, gun to my head, I'm going to say North Carolina. But, hey, I know this. When he announces, when we find out a time, my eyes will be glued to BOL, to find out the moment that it happens, because I don't know what's going to happen. And it could be Alabama, and Alabama's recruited their butts off. And Nate Oates is fantastic at this. I'm just saying, my guess, North Carolina, and I hate being the proverbial
pessimist.
I'm going to say cold, wet towel and nothing about a punch bowl.
Okay, there you go. So a couple of things. First of all, I know what we're saying about other people leaking that Alabama's leading for a dude so that somebody gets crystal balled to Alabama so that it hurts Alabama's recruitment of Cliff is conspiracy theory-esque. But you know what? It's not paranoia if there really are a lot of ants on you.
Hey, sometimes they are, they say, you're paranoid when you feel everybody's out to get you. Sometimes everybody is out to get you.
No doubt.
And everybody is out to get Alabama. I mean, they don't want, obviously these other schools, so that stuff happens. Of course it happens. But, and what happens that we never hear about is even worse. In terms of what this kid is being told by others about this program and that program. And hey, like I said, all's fair in love, war, and recruiting. And that's what coaches themselves say.
And when you said, we don't even know what time he's committing, we think his Final Four, Georgetown, Bama, North Carolina, and Kansas State. We're not sure how to pronounce his name. It reminds me of a scene in The Simpsons where there's a press conference and the guy at the podium calls on the first reporter. And he goes, yeah, I'm with the Daily Times. Who are you and what are we doing here? We don't know anything, and we got to start at the beginning. So, but anyway, yeah, it's very strange. This whole recruitment has been very strange. It's also, here's the other thing. Nobody's really been able to clarify, to me at least, about his NIL situation. You would think, this is going to be about who has the biggest bag. Potentially, but then because he's from overseas, originally there is something about he can't get an NIL of something. I don't know if it's true. I'm just saying that is how ambiguous his whole recruitment has been. And then on top of all this, he plays at Rutgers, a place that, I know they got 2 of the top 3 players in the country this year, but before this year, nobody watched Rutgers ever. If you had told me, hey, Rutgers really doesn't have a basketball team. You might be right. I have no proof they have a basketball team. It's was it specious reasoning? When another thing from The Simpsons, when Lisa said, Homer, that's our dad, that's very specious reasoning. He goes, what do you mean? She said, well, I could tell you that this lamp keeps tigers away. You don't see any tigers, do you? He goes, and Homer goes, I'd like to buy your lamp. It is like we just have to take the college basketball world. Rutgers exists. I mean, they haven't been a factor in anything. So we're not even sure Cliff's a person.
His recruitment is weird. Now, in relation to NIL, this is my limited understanding. Let's say what Luke said is right. Foreign players receiving NIL money is a thing, and it is a story. But I believe because some of the great minds in America, and by that I mean football, sports coaches and lawyers, all put their heads together. There are ways around these things. Now, in terms of what those are, I don't know yet because, I don't know. I've just heard there are ways around things such as dual citizenship, such as being here on a visa other than the specific visa that disallows this, maybe getting some sort of an illegal opinion from customs and immigration in terms of, hey, can this guy do this? And then they go, okay, well, in this instance, you can do that, and get some sort of legal or some sort of document from them that says, well, this is all right. I don't know. we do know this, that sometimes these players go on overseas trips, and while they're on overseas, they can conduct the NIL business and make their money, like sign their contract or get paid while they're on these overseas trips. In other words, everyone efforts to get around it. And when you have great legal minds and motivated sports coaches, they find ways. So my understanding is that NIL is a factor here with Cliff.
So what you're saying is we need to recruit him in international waters, because
maybe that's where all the confusion lies. That's why we can't get information. He's on a boat. And
for my third Simpsons reference in this first segment, international waters is where Dredrick Tatum fought Secretariat because it was illegal everywhere else. Anyway, all right.
I somehow missed that one.
That is I gotta find it.
I gotta Google that episode.
Oh, it's hilarious. Mo Sislak was talking about it. It's great stuff. All right, I gotta tell everybody about Monopoly Go. You know I do. Well, I said I got to tell you about Monopoly Go. I'm supposed to talk about LinkedIn, but I'm doing the old switcheroo because I screwed up. But that's okay. Go. All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag on the play. You already talked about that. But there's just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for time tournaments where you can work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes. Cool and new playing pieces to travel the boards with. Hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every single day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. Look, there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go, so get off the bench and go download it for free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Okay, so two other dudes were in Tuscaloosa this weekend for football potential transfers. You see them right there on the little On Today's Show thing. King and Deshaun. Yep. One from Penn State, one from Wake Forest. And both of them are in the defensive backfield. And, Jimmy, what have you heard? I mean, is it good news for the Tide here?
Yeah. I mean, in the sense that we don't know yet. Deshaun Jones is a cornerback from Wake Forest. Alabama would very, very much like a cornerback in this class. They have recruited several. It's hard to land one for any number of reasons. NIL's one of the reasons. Each recruitment is different. Each kid has different priorities, but Alabama hasn't settled on, the corner, but Deshaun Jones from Wake Forest, 2-year starter at Wake. He's got 3 or 4 career interceptions. This is a good player. Is he super elite? No. I mean, as I point out to everybody about these transfers that are NFL draft eligible, let's not go too far with how great they might be. If Deshaun Jones was Kool-Aid McKinstry, he'd be in the NFL draft and not in the transfer portal. But he wants to play on a bigger stage and prove to the NFL that, hey, I'm an NFL guy, and there might not be a better place to do that than Alabama. That's why I really like Alabama's chances here. What's interesting, though, Luke, is I don't know if they're going to take more than one. They would take more than one. But Deshaun Jones is visiting today. Starting tomorrow, Kobe Minor, a cornerback from Indiana, will visit Alabama. This information you can get, as usual, at BOL. And Andrew Bone does great work there with this stuff. And Andrew's got Kobe Minor coming to campus Monday. Now, is Alabama going to take both? We're efforting to find out whether Alabama can get both or land both or take both. But they definitely want at least one. And Deshaun Jones has been here, with his parents this weekend. And then Kobe Minor arrives Monday. Kobe Minor, by the way, started his career at Texas Tech, played there for 3 years before transferring to Indiana, where he was honorable mention all Big Ten this past season. Very different players, by the way. I watched tape of both kids. And what's really interesting, Deshaun Jones, a little more physical cornerback, really good in the run, great tackler. The kid from Indiana is more of a sticky corner. He's more of he gets this guy covered, and that's that. Not as physical, but a really good coverage guy. So it'll be interesting to see. Maybe the preference comes down to that. Does Alabama want a more boundary type corner that's more physical like Deshaun, or maybe the speedy or cover guy like like Kobe Minor. So that's interesting as it relates to those guys. And then, of course, I didn't mention Matt King, the safety from Penn State. This is more of a safety. This is a different type need. Alabama needs depth in that safety room more than they need an immediate starter. This is a freshman who last year played at Penn State, wasn't a starter, just a typical highly regarded freshman that played some special teams. Matt King is really more of a potential starter in the future that Alabama would be adding for depth, whereas Deshaun Jones and Kobe Minor would be guys in the portal they want to be potentially immediate starters because, as we know right now, Alabama's cornerback situation, things are a little thin in terms of experienced players. Only one cornerback on the Alabama roster has played in a college football game. So that's why they want experience at corner and depth with the safety group.
It is interesting that, we're going after all these defensive backs and or guys in the defensive backfield. And right now, and at the same time, I think everybody's fired up about Jalen Mbakwe and some of the other freshmen. But as one particular, Xavier Brown was just named by CBS Sports as one of the 10 freshmen that's really looking awesome and has a potential to start for Alabama this year. I just find that a little interesting. It's always good to have depth. It's always good to have experience. I will say, like, part of me is sort of like, okay, honorable mention all Big Ten. I mean, that's not exactly going to float the boat. I mean, I don't even know if I'd mention that. I mean, I think everybody honorable mention everything. So,
well, like I said, you can't overdo how good these guys in the portal are. If they were great, they'd be in the NFL draft.
Correct.
And also a lot of kids who are starting, even at places like Wake Forest and Indiana, go, hey, I'm starting where I'm at. Why am I leaving? The pickings in the portal can be slim at times, and the spring portal in particular, because starting positions are kind of won in spring practice, or people know exactly where they stand. And the only people that really want to leave are people looking for unique things. And I think with Deshaun and Kobe Minor, with both of them, I probably need to play on a bigger stage, to show the NFL that I guess that's their primary motivation, or maybe NIL, which is Alabama's going to have a better NIL, more robust NIL system than Indiana or Wake Forest would.
And also winning isn't the most important thing to everybody. Somebody at Wake Forest may be like, I'm sort of the big fish in the smaller pond here. And I don't know that I want to go to Alabama and have to work twice as hard, play a little less, maybe make a little more money, maybe win a little more, but I'm not the dude anymore. I mean, it is what it is. That's fine. I'm just saying it's not for everybody to be at the hardest place, one of the harder places to play in the country.
Yeah, and fans get too obsessed, I think, part with the winning part. Doesn't you want to be part of a winning team? Yeah, that's true of like a bunch of 5-stars. But think of this. Do y'all think that a player, if these are his two choices, do I want to go to Kansas and start for 2 or 3 years and audition for a spot in the NFL? Or do I want to go to Alabama where I'm probably going to get a national championship ring, but I'm going to be on the bench? A lot of kids are going to choose that Kansas opportunity because they want to keep playing football. And a lot of kids worry that at Alabama, there's just too much competition. I won't get on the field. I got criticized the other day on POL by a member for suggesting that, but it's just a fact that some kids look at Alabama and go, I'm not going to play there. I would like to go there and be a part of that, but I'm not going to play because Xavier Brown has never played, and they're talking about him on CBS.com. I mean, I'm not going to get on the field there.
That's right. All right. Got to tell everybody about LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn helps you find professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and they might not have the time or resources to hire. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring, by the way. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Post your job for free. Terms and conditions, yeah, they're going to apply. So we're going, Jimmy, I know you've been watching games from last year again. Yeah. That's something you do that's fun. And I would love to rehash them. We got a suggestion from a listener that emailed me and said, one thing you guys can do is break down the position terminology again, just, so that we're all familiar with it, wolf and bandit and all that stuff. So we'll do that later. Okay. But before we let you talk about a few of the memories from 2023 on those first two games, one thing that's going to be, we're all looking forward to any kind of football, anything now. And I think kickoff times are going to be discussed. I know, by the way, basketball wise, I know the Alabama Creighton game date was announced, and that's great. I mean, it's in Tuscaloosa, and that's awesome. In December. Now, kickoff times, though, for Alabama's first few games, have you heard anything in particular?
No, this is what's super interesting about that. When the contract flipped over, where now, as you know, Alabama's games are now solely, property of the ABC ESPN family, which means every Alabama game is going to air, every home game is going to air on either ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, or the SEC, or ESPNU, or the SEC network by contract. So, well, when that happened, ESPN and ABC said, hey, one of the things you're going to love about being with us full time is we're going to set the games way in advance, months in advance, weeks in advance. You will know kickoff times. It won't be like what y'all was stuck at CBS, sometimes not knowing a kickoff time until literally 13 days before the game. You found out a kickoff time. And in some instances, even a week before. That won't be the case with us. We're going to let y'all know months in advance. Well, here we are, Luke. We're now in early May, and we know one kickoff time. We know the Georgia game is going to kick off in prime time, I think 7 o'clock. If I'm wrong, 6 o'clock. But 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock is that Alabama versus Georgia time. We don't know any other kickoff time.
On ABC. Is it ABC, right?
I think it's going to be on ABC. Yeah. Yep. That'll be the Herb Street Fowler, number one crew game of the week kind of thing. Well, this is what's sneaking up on us, folks. The spring meetings, that's coming up in like 3 weeks in Desmond, Florida, when the SEC gets together and all this year, it's all going to be talking about the lawsuit and the settlement of the House case. And we'll talk about that later this week too. That's not interesting, but it is shaping the entire future of college football. That's all that is.
Not a big deal.
It's not a big deal. It's just shaping the entire future of college football is being decided in that lawsuit. Okay, so my point is that why I wanted to talk about kickoff times today is this. We don't know kickoff times. And in previous years, Luke, even under the old deal with CBS, at these Destin meetings, the first kickoff times were released. Every year we found out when Alabama's first game was going to kick off. Sometimes even weeks 2 and 3, we would find out. So surely we're going to find out very soon, because even under the old deal, we found out at the spring meetings what the first few games would look like. ABC, ESPN was more like, oh, we're gonna beat all those times. We're gonna let you know. And the good news is, though, in terms of guessing kickoff times, Luke, I do think that there's going to be more primetime opportunities for Alabama, which I think most fans like. Not every fan. Most fans are kind of selfish because, it works for them. What works for one family may not work for another family. But I think if they voted, and I know students feel this way, most would choose primetime kickoffs, particularly in September when it's a little cooler at night. So that's what I'm anticipating this year, Luke, is more 6 and 7 o'clock or even 8 o'clock kicks under this new deal, and less 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock type kicks, though that will happen from time to time.
It'll have to.
Yeah. There will still be an 11 a.m. kick here and there, but I think there'll be less of it and more prime time. A lot of 2:30 games, that were featured on CBS, lots of 2:30 games. I think there'll be fewer as ESPN tries to usher its biggest games into those prime time slots.
we're going to do the memories thing on another pod because
sure.
I want to keep it right here. First thing I thought about was, okay, CBS has Big Ten now.
Correct.
Wouldn't it be kind of weird? I mean, and fun that Alabama and Wisconsin would be on CBS, like, right? Wouldn't it be?
Yeah. That's very, 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 very well. I mean, I would say very possible. It can be on CBS or Fox. Fox has Big Ten as well.
True.
So does NBC. That's how the Big Ten really sliced it, and they sliced the deal up among networks, and have a collective good money deal. Whereas SEC went exclusively with ABC, ESPN. But yeah, the Wisconsin game could be on CBS, NBC, or Fox. A Fox game could potentially be 11. The NBC Big Ten games are at night. That would be interesting.
Please, in the name of all things holy, not an 11 o'clock game.
I just, particularly for a big game. And when you're on the road playing at 11, I'm telling you, we're not worried about that Wisconsin game enough. I mean, I brought up this analogy recently. If Tennessee was playing in that game, what will we say? Wisconsin might win. Yeah. Wisconsin might win. And we're playing in the game and we're going, oh, well, we're going to kill them. Well, are we going to kill Tennessee?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. Last time we went up Tennessee didn't go so well. I'm just saying, we're not viewing that game. Any road game against a Power 5 opponent is scary. We've got to remove ourselves from the Saban era where Saban won those games routinely. But guess what? Last 2 or 3 years, we weren't winning those road games routinely. Even under Nick.
Let me say this, though.
A lot of them were tight.
If Kalen DeBoer wants to figure out how things can turn very quickly, you lose that Wisconsin game.
Yeah, there would be the blowback would be tremendous. People would be upset. And I'm not saying we're going to lose. As a matter of fact, I think Alabama's going to win the game. I'm just anticipating a tighter game than BYU.
Are you going?
No, not as of now. That could be one that we change our mind about. But as of now, it's just kind of difficult it's just kind of difficult.
I hear you. I'm going. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. Hope to see you.
Great atmosphere.
It's going to be fun. All the
great atmosphere, it's great atmosphere, which is not something we say a lot about Big Ten or Pac-12. Of course, that doesn't exist anymore. But just these big games outside the league, we don't often talk about big time great atmospheres. But Wisconsin really is. They're into it.
That's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.